It is legal counsel time. Attorney Charlie O'Hara is with us this morning to answer your legal questions. This is a chance for you to call in to get your questions answered for free. 436-1212. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning.
Sure. Welcome you to the studio today.
Nice
Appreciate
day.
it. All right.
Nice day.
Well, let's get to the phone. We do have a caller waiting. Good morning. What's your question?
Am I on?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. My granddaughter and her husband rented an apartment over in Wichita and found out it was a bad location, and when they would get off work late at night, and anyway, they could hear gunshots and a lot of activity, I'll put it that way. So they talked to the manager, and they said, well, yes, you can go ahead and move out, but you have to pay this big fee, which they did. They paid that. Well, that's been 3 or 4 months ago. Now it's been turned over to a collection agency, and they're being sued because now the management of these apartments over on Hydraulic and Harry are saying that they broke their lease and that they were kicked out of the apartments, which is not true. And they moved out because of all the activity, you know, at night around there, and they were scared because she was expecting their baby. And what does somebody do?
Well, I mean, in that situation, if you sign a lease, you owe for the whole lease unless they can re-rent the property. They have a duty to lessen the damages. But if you make an agreement after that to pay a certain amount of money to get yourself out of the lease, then that's a good agreement too. So if that's what happened, then you should be out of the lease. And they should, if they're trying to collect it, they shouldn't do that. I hope you have that agreement in writing or have some proof of the lump sum that was paid, because if you don't, then you're going to have to go to court and try to prove it. It's going to be rather difficult. But they would have a defense to that if they agreed otherwise to break that lease.
But then you have mainly a he said, she said. You always have to get things in writing, huh, Charlie? That's the key here. Especially something like that. I mean, if you're going to have an agreement other than what the lease is, you need the agreement in writing, because the lease is in writing. All right, thanks for your call. We sure appreciate it. We have another caller on the line. Good morning. What would you like to ask Charlie?
Yes, I had a question for Charlie. Is the Highway Patrol allowed to investigate if you're here illegally or not, if you got pulled over for a headlight issue?
Well, that's a rather involved question. That gets into a lot of politics that's going on. The Highway Patrol is allowed to investigate crime. If you're here illegally, obviously, you're here without status. At times that can be defined as a crime. At times it's not defined as a crime. That question depends completely on the circumstances of what's going on. And so depending on how that stop is and what the highway patrolman did, if he stops you and you have a valid driver's license, valid insurance, he should give you a warning for your headlight and let you go on the way. If you don't have a driver's license and you don't have any insurance on your car, well, then it gets a little more complex, and he can obviously investigate why you don't have those things. So it depends on the circumstances of the stop.
Yeah, once that stop happens, I mean, a whole bunch of other things can follow right after that, huh, Charlie?
That's correct, and you better have your paperwork ready when you get stopped.
Yeah, and you're supposed to have your driver's license. Of course, you're not supposed to drive without one, but you also have to have proof of insurance in your glove compartment.
And your registration.
And your registration for your vehicle.
And the problem is, when people are not here illegally, the problem is that they don't have driver's license because they can't get one from the state, and if they're driving around, they're violating the law.
So then questions pop up in that person's head who's stopping you at that point.
That's correct. One thing can lead to another.
All righty, thanks, Charlie. We'll see you next week. Appreciate it. Have a good day.